Welcome to Left On Wed.
Bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. Georgia Fletcher.
Adam Sini.
In the same room.
How did we get here?
In this part of town.
Hey Adam. Hey Adam. Hey Georgia.
I don't know whether we'd call that a beatbox.
What would you call it?
I would call that...
A rhyme time. Georgia rhymes with Smorgia. Adam rhymes with Madam.
The episode today, however, is not about
It isn't
names.
about that, but who cares what it's about?
I don't care.
Let's throw out everything
but
for this
I
episode.
like to stay on task.
All
so
right,
the task
fine.
is...
Should we do the drum roll?
Okay.
You don't actually have to do the drum roll.
What's the drum roll?
Well, it's a sound effect. Today's topic is...
Writing a run sheet.
And did you hear that sound effect?
I did. It was great.
You didn't hear
The
it.
ambiance. I love it.
Ambiance. Writing a run sheet.
Let's firstly define what is a run sheet.
What is a run sheet? What is me?
Adam's going straight to the dictionary and finds the letter R, looks for RU,
RU.
and no, not run.
Run. Rumpus.
We don't want cold feet.
Rumpus room?
Run sheet.
I meant rumpus room. I went
A
too
run
far.
sheet is structuring, timetabling your day from start to finish and sharing that with your vendors and maybe your guests if they want to know what's on your run sheet.
Oh, screw your guests. They're getting a free
Definitely
meal and
your
free
partner,
booze.
you as a couple need to know what's happening on the run sheet.
Your run sheet is your master doc for the day that has breakdowns of what's happening, who needs to be there, what they're doing, and how the day flows.
See, I love that. So we've defined, well, what is a run sheet? So
That
what
was,
should be on your run
Collins
sheet?
Dictionary.
We're not at uni. There's no APA referencing.
I didn't go to uni.
Oh, okay.
I'm a marriage celebrant.
Not just that.
Everyone thinks I'm like Joey from Friends. Apparently he just got it online.
Oh,
You watch Friends?
yeah, but not
I'm
religiously.
more a Seinfeld guy.
Okay.
You? You don't like Seinfeld?
I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Anyway, we're staying on task.
I'm sorry, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine does not come in the same conversation as Friends of Seinfeld.
Why?
Because it's a different era.
Is it?
Why is it?
Okay.
We're talking 90s sitcoms versus Andy Samberg in the teens.
Speaking of run sheets,
What the hell?
what should be on a run sheet?
Look, okay. What should be on a run sheet? So we should be starting from the very start of the day. It's basically the Bible for vendors and your venue and the couple. So it should start at the very start of the day at whatever clock when your first vendor arrives, I would say, which usually probably be a hair and makeup artist or perhaps a planner, coordinator, and when they're arriving and what the first task is. That's where we start. And then it ends when the last guest leaves and the last job is done.
So on a run sheet, we're looking at having a time, the vendor name,
Yeah.
what to call them,
Yeah.
maybe a contact number or email address as well. So they're contactable on the day.
Beautiful.
What time they're arriving, and then throughout the run sheet, you'll also have what time they're leaving.
Yeah.
So if we're coming back to hair and makeup artists, they will be arriving based on how many people they are doing the hair and makeup of, and then they might be doing some final touch-ups.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to liaise with them to find out how long they need for each person, when they would like to do those final touch-ups, tying into the ceremony start time.
So I think that it's important to know who's going to give you the information you need and where do you start. There's lots of handy templates you can find online. I think firstly, we would definitely look at what the venue is providing in this area. So a lot of venues will provide you with a template. They might have a general running order of what they like to do and how their nights usually run, and that's probably the best place to start.
Don't assume that you'll get it though. It's important to ask if they have an example. Because if
Please.
you're sitting on your hands waiting for a run sheet, you may never get it.
Don't sit on your hands. You won't be able to use them. You need to be able to use your hands for
Use
holding
your hands,
things.
type that email and say, hey, we know that you do weddings all the time. We love the venue so much and we can't wait to get married there. Could you show us an example of a run sheet
Fab.
of this time of year as well?
Perfect.
Because coming back to the episode that we already did about timings
Yep.
and booking a date, that will be determined by the ceremony start time and the reception end time.
Georgia, 100%. I cannot tell you how right you are.
Thank you so
Different
much.
time of years will have different ceremony start times because of sunset, because of temperature. There's lots of factors that go into all of that. So definitely, I think your venue will provide you that. I'm just going to throw out an example of a venue that I work at a lot is Ben Dooley. It's a very well-oiled, tight ship machine. And when I MC there a lot of the timings are the same to the last one I did there because they know what they're doing, right?
Shout out to Ben Dooley.
Love Ben Dooley. So they would give you like a 3 o'clock, your ceremony starts. You have your 2-hour canapes or cocktails in between, and then seated at 6 o'clock, and it goes from there. That's an ideal, easy situation. But then you have some venues, or you might have ones that are DIY venues where it's going to require a little bit more input from you on those.
Here's a scenario.
Please.
What if your venue doesn't have a run sheet for you? What do you do?
Panic, run away.
Don't do that.
See, all the things I'm saying are opposite of what you should do.
Yes.
Take it in your stride. Love it.
You could reach out to another vendor.
Yeah,
so you
def.
could reach out to your celebrant, your MC, your wedding coordinator or a planner, photographer as well. Because one of my hot tips for creating a run sheet or considering your run sheet and your timings is what photography package have you booked? And let's fit our formalities and our big moments throughout our wedding day around when our photographer will be there to capture it, because it didn't happen if the photographer wasn't there.
Does a bear the woods? That's the second time I've said that on this podcast.
We also agreed not to swear.
Well, beep. You can move that on top of what I just said.
If our venue hasn't got one, we've reached out to our other suppliers and they've given us their little hot takes on what a run sheet should look like. Where should we then be putting all of that information?
And you definitely remember that these people are wedding professionals. They go to weddings all the time and they will know what's best and easiest for them and when they're going to arrive and leave and all that sort of thing and how long they need for certain parts of the day.
And collating that kind of information will feel overwhelming, and that's completely valid because you're dealing with up to 10 different vendors.
Potential.
Which we've done a whole episode on. Vendors to book, what time they're arriving. So it's great to be able to go back into that communication or to be going to keep a tab on it as you're going, putting all those times in. Keep a tab on it. And then you can have all of that beautifully structured into one lovely document.
I'm just going to go on my computer now. That was the sound of me opening my computer. I use Google Sheets. What's brilliant about Google Sheets is that you can share it. You can update it as you go. It saves automatically. It's a live file.
And you can add different sheets in the Google Sheet. So one could have the runnings of the day, but it could also have the bump in and out time, specifically if you need to say or ask, okay, well, the musician is here, but when was the photographer arriving to take those first shots at the reception maybe?
So let's just talk through a scenario of how this might go, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to say that we're not at Bendooley. It's a venue where I've had to bring in a caterer and the...
I think we've done a whole episode on DIY venues.
We have. And... but it might not be out yet. We're going to do that one. Yeah. So you're bringing in all of these outside vendors and the run sheet might require a little bit more attention from you. So let's say... first person to contact you might be your caterer, because food timings are important. They need to make sure it all happens at the same time. And they say, here's our food timings. Here's when we're arriving. Here's when we're leaving. Huh. Georgia, do we have something to put in our run sheet?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, we do. So we chuck that in there, and then we know that the ceremony is going to start at 3:00. So let's how does a day usually run? What's a ideal day? How does it look like? What we start where?
With the hair and makeup artist arriving. Even vendor bump in, when is that even allowed?
Yep.
So we need to know when you can actually access the venue and knowing when your vendors are allowed to then start accessing the venue too. Very different for DIY with other wedding venues, because some venues will be running multiple events on the day. There are some fantastic venues that like to operate a full day of, lunch, dinners, whatever, and then you can only come in at a certain time. So our run sheets are going to look very different depending on the venue that we've chosen, how many vendors we have to consider, and all the important moments that you'd like to have throughout your day. So, for example, we have our hair and makeup artist arriving.
Yeah.
We would like to make sure that you are eating. So, when are you going to eat?
Great.
Let's factor that into a run sheet.
Please.
Really, really important. We also want to know when the photographer is arriving, because another thing is that you and your partner may not be together.
Yeah.
On the night before or the morning of your wedding. So your photographer will be going to multiple different locations. So they need to allocate specific times to when they'll be going to photograph partner one
So they're like,
and partner two.
Ceremony's at 3, and they'll tell you this. Remember, they will tell you this. You don't have to make this up. They will know, and you'll probably have a pre-meeting with them, and they'll go through all of this with you. So, go along for that ride, but if you do want to know beforehand, they'll let you know. But for a 3:00 ceremony, they might be with partner 1 at 1:30. They might want half an hour with them or more, and then at 2:00 they go to the next partner, so they can be at the ceremony at 2:30. Something like that. Could be longer, could be less. It's up to the photographer. They know what they need.
So we've talked about what is a run sheet, how we can create a run sheet, who to consult, and getting some examples of great run sheets. What else do we need to talk about when it comes to educating couples and supporting them through their run sheet creations?
Oh, Georgia, I love it when you speak like that. It makes me so excited.
Moist in the mouth again?
It makes me moist in the mouth. One of my favorite tips that I always tell couples, they're thinking about, what time, Adam? We don't know whether we want to start our ceremony at 3 or 4. I'm like, okay, let's work backwards through the day. So you know that your dance floor is opening at 8 p.m. We know that our reception starts at 6 o'clock because dinner's at 7. We have speeches in between. We know that we want an hour of canapes and cocktails before that, so that's 5 o'clock. So we're looking more at 4 o'clock, right? Because we've worked backwards. 4 o'clock, 4:30 is ceremony finishes. 4:30 to 5, hugs and kisses, congratulations. 5 p.m, we're on track for that. A little bit of buffer time in there as well if we're a little bit late.
Yes. When I create run sheets with couples, I also say don't get too fixated on the times that you are putting out there and to rather order your events in the order that you want them, allowing some flexibility with time either side, because it will run early at some times throughout the day. It will also run late.
100%. I've never been to a wedding where everything happens as the run sheet says it's going to, but that's fine. What we're doing is we're putting the pieces of the puzzle, the chessboard, in place. We're handing the chessboard to someone who knows how to play chess and saying, play chess the way you like to play chess.
I don't know how to play chess.
I don't know how to play chess either, but it was a good
It
analogy.
was
okay.
good. I do know
You some
how
play
to do a
Battleship.
run sheet. I don't play Battleship. But we can do a whole episode on board games and lawn games. But we have talked about that in another episode. Anyway.
Stop pointing at me. I don't like it. It makes me...
Circling back to run sheets.
Yeah.
What about Facebook groups? If we're getting really stuck and we've got the example from our venue, we've consulted with our photographer, our celebrant, our MC, our coordinator, the other vendors that are coming and going throughout the day, we've got some rough times in place. What could be missing and where can we go to find out what could be missing?
Yeah, there's lots of those wedding Facebook pages where you can chuck a question on or just search for people that have already asked them.
Use the search bar.
Use them. People
so
have asked.
much cleverer. So Facebook groups, we can also, if we find them too overwhelming and the algorithm picks up that you are going on them way too many times, making sure that you unfollow if you need to.
Screw
and
the
going
algorithm,
back
man.
And searching for run sheet and seeing what people may have wish they'd included or wish they'd not prioritized so much in their run sheet.
And remember, at the end of the day, you might not have to do any of this because it might already be sorted. Let's say you have a wedding planner or you have a wedding coordinator.
Oh, yes, they'll do it.
They'll probably do it, right? They'll probably do it for you.
But getting your feedback and advice is really important too, so that you can make sure that all of the key moments that you want and ways to personalize your wedding, we'll do a whole episode on that,
Great.
is in your run sheet as well.
Yeah. So talk to if you have a coordinator, a planner, a venue manager, they're definitely going to help you with this. They're going to have their template of how they like to work. And then they might go back to you and go, okay, how do we fit the following things in? How many people are doing speeches, all that sort of stuff.
I do highly recommend putting it in a document that's easy to edit, like Google Sheets or Google Docs, so that you're not sending it in PDFs and constantly losing track of what you're saving and where it is.
Definitely.
So having an editable document, not edible,
Editable.
editable,
So
that you can share.
print it on edible paper, please.
That's good for the environment.
It's good for the environment. It's good for everyone. Vendors get hungry during the day.
Okay, let's email it first so everybody can check
Yeah.
that they're across the
Get on
run
it.
sheet too. So once you've created the run sheet, send it to the vendors, see if it works for them. They've confirmed that that's definitely the time they're arriving. That's definitely the time that they're leaving. Is there anything that you're missing? And then you will have your draft.
And I like looking at a run sheet. I like a detailed run sheet. Some people are like, oh, sorry, it's so detailed. It's like, no, it means I don't have to ask you any questions on the day if I'm emceeing
There's no
it,
room
right?
for error.
So one thing I like to look at, it's like, okay, on the left, it'll say the time, what is happening. So it might be 6:05 intros of the wedding party. It'll then, the next column might be who's involved. So it'll say Adam, MC, photographer, videographer, and venue, because they're all the people that need to look at it. So I just look at who's involved and I look for my name usually. The next one might be notes. And then you can add in notes of, here are the names of the people in the wedding party who need to be introed in this order. Adam, can you say this in the housekeeping as well? Boom, it's there for me. I look at it at that time. It's got my name and I know what I'm doing. So
Genius.
easy. It
I
makes
love
my
it.
life easy.
And then they might turn around and say, actually, Adam, we've decided we'd like to play the shoe game. Where would be the best place to slot in the shoe game with the
should
run
we
sheet?
have a go through the reception and how a reception usually is timed out?
That would be a great idea because we've talked about making sure we've got vendor bump in and out
Yep.
times. But what happens when the party gets started?
When the party gets started, we take off our shirts and we all pour tequila down our necks. Is that what you do?
No, I
The
don't.
back of my neck? I do tend to take my shirt off. Not at weddings, not when I'm being paid, but like vendor parties. I've been known to take my shirt off in front of photographers.
Yes, you have.
I have. You've been there, right?
There was a pole at a boat.
Yeah,
Anyway,
let's
never
move
mind.
on from the bowl and the boat. That was a good party.
There, you definitely shared it to your Instagram, so it's out there. We know it's there. But hey,
Oh, God.
we won't pour tequila down our shirts for our reception entrance all the time. Just from 6 p.m, we've got our entrances.
So let's say 6 o'clock. Yeah, guests are seated at 6. This is this changes
Rough
all the
venue,
time.
weather,
Yeah, but
time dependent.
Let's say everyone's been out and they've had canapes for an hour. They sit down at 6. We intro in the wedding party at 6:05, 10 past 6, roughly. Rough.
Good dog.
Dog, thank you. Good boy. Your venue might do some housekeeping, and then what I always like, a little tip to my couples, I think it's a great spot to do some speeches straight away.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think it really does depend on when the caterers want to bring out the entrees
Definitely.
though, because things to consider is when they are clearing, you don't want to have your mouth full of food while the speeches are taking place, and that's what's photographed. Also, there's a very fine line, and that's why catering can really dictate how successful a reception run sheet can feel and look like, because we want to make sure that there's not too much food on the tables. They can clear quietly, especially the bridal table, but also the food's not coming out cold for the next round of meals.
It's something that you'll see your MC and all your vendors looking at is, we usually wait for a nod from the venue or from the caterer to say, we have finished clearing, you can start speeches. 'Cause
Yes.
They don't want to be clearing whilst that's happening. They don't want people eating whilst that's happening. So let's say entrees aren't coming out till 6:30. We smash out some speeches. Entrees happen. They clear after an hour. We hit some more speeches. Might play a game if you want. That takes a little bit. Mains come down.
Sunset could be happening around
Sunset
that time
happens
too.
here,
So we
depending on
always
time.
look up the location and the date on when the sun is setting, because it may be a good time after saying hello and smiling for so many different photos. You and your partner may want to go outside just for a quiet moment, get some photos, nice candid photos, and just take a breather.
Chat to your your photographer. They'll tell you how long they need and what time it's going to be. They're like, sunset's at 7:45. We need to leave at 7:20.
They might do that.
They sound like that too. I'm friends with photographers. Take my shirt off for them as well.
And pour tequila down your neck.
For them.
Just for them. Nobody else.
So after all that, the last things to hit. This is usually, everything changes. But last things to hit might be a couple more speeches, which might be, your best man, might be a maid of honor. Then the couples might speak. They might King's Speech. Great
Smarter
film.
a speech.
Colin Firth won an Oscar for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Then they might cut the cake. They might do some formal dancing, whether that's a bridal waltz or a first dance.
Yep.
A parent dance.
Yep.
And then the dance floor
Dance
may
floor's
or may not be
open.
open.
And that's at, 8, 9 o'clock, and you've got the rest of the night to dance away. That's rough, but that's a general order of events of how it might happen.
But hey, you might love ice cream, and you're like, I know that
I
there's
do love ice cream.
there's a gelato cart coming at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
We've got to factor that in.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors in.
But
And
hey,
then-
I've also got multiple parents that I'd like to dance with, so we've got to factor that in too.
Definitely.
This is a whole episode
And we're
on
doing that?
personalizing your
We're
wedding.
doing that. It's coming up. Last thing that might happen,
Okay.
an exit,
Oh,
a
yes.
sparkler exit. Something to consider on that is your photographer usually won't be there till the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
By 11 o'clock when everyone's leaving, let's be honest, they're going to be pretty cut.
Yes.
Waving around sparklers is dangerous and no one's there to take a photo of it.
Risky. This is why sharing the run sheet beforehand is important, because I have MC'd and been celebrant for weddings where they've sent out the run sheet, the photographer's come back and been like, actually, you only booked me for an 8-hour package. That means the getting ready photos happen at 12. I'm leaving at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sparkler exit never happened.
Best thing to do, a fake sparkler exit. Get your important people, your wedding party or your friends, your parents, 10 of them, they go out, you do a little fake one with sparklers, you run through it. It's a little fun moment that you get to have with those people at 8 o'clock or whatever it is. You come back, join the party. You've done that. There's nothing more to do for the night.
Please don't think it's instantaneous, though. It takes a long time to organize people to go outside to finish their conversation, drop their drink, not drop it, place it down very
their
gently,
drink.
finish it, and then get a sparkler, wait for it to be lit, and then wait for the photographer's instructions on where you need to be, how long you run for. I've had couples that go back and forth because they've got those long-lasting sparklers.
Fun.
But the teacher in me, every wedding where there's been a sparkler exit, it takes at least 10 to 15 minutes to organise people.
And there's a little bit of burning that happens. Like, you want to burn the person beside you and have a little sword fight.
I don't want to do that.
Just me? Just me?
I had one couple where they recently said, don't we just hold on to them all together and light them at once? I said,
God.
if you'd like to burn your hand. They were a nurse. I said, well, at least we've got all the medical experience that we need in case first aid needs to be applied in that instance.
I did a wedding of 2 paramedics last week.
Oh, fun.
All of their guests were paramedics.
Great.
So we opened it with, if anyone gets too drunk and you can't help yourself, do not ask anyone else here because every paramedic in Sydney is off
that
for
in
the
the
day.
run sheet.
Put that in the run sheet. Make sure no one dies because everyone there is a medical professional and doesn't want to help on their day off.
There must have been a lot of medical puns in that script. I would have loved it.
There was so many. It was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. How punny. But hey, we want to factor that in to make sure that our sparkler exit is happening when all the right people are there to capture it, all the sensible Sallys in the room know what they're doing, and all the not so sensible people can follow the instructions on how to choreograph a sparkler exit. And that, my friend, is the run sheet.
And if you need some more help, you can head to our Instagram. We're going to put up a little bit of a template run sheet, aren't we?
We will.
Are
We're
we?
good like that.
We are good like
I love
that.
Canva.
You're pointing at yourself. But that's the timings of the day, Georgia. We have our day. We know what we have to do. And now I'm just beaming. I want to get out there. I just want to get into it.
You want to write that run sheet? Run sheet.
Georgia, will you come and hang with me next week?
Will you come with me and do that?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thanks for listening.
We really appreciate you. And if you want to hear and see more, follow us on the socials. We are at Left on Wed Podcast on TikTok, on YouTube. There are full video episodes, and on Instagram.
There sure are. If you've got questions, you've got comments, ideas for topics, slide on into the DMs. But you can also inquire about our celebrant services by finding Adam on Instagram and TikTok at Married by Adam.
That's me.
You can find me at Georgia Fletcher Celebrant.
And if you are itching to tell people about this, please do. But you can leave us a review on whatever platform you listen on. Tell people how much you love it. 5 stars only.
Thank you. That's all we will accept. We'll see you next time.
Left on Wed is recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respects to the elders past and present.
We, Adam and Georgia, acknowledge our First Nations people's continuous connection to culture and the importance of storytelling.